What's up, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of Out of the Shadows. Today I'm going to be talking about a Bruce Lee quote and how it applies to life, how I apply it to my life, and what I think we can kind of extrapolate from it. So the quote is, "Train until the unnatural becomes natural." Now, the application to this quote in terms of martial arts means no matter what art you're training, whether it's striking, grappling, whatever, the movements that you're doing at first are very unnatural. For example, in Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is the style that I do and Bruce Lee originally did, you punch from the center straight. I have no room. It's a straight punch. It's a vertical fist, whatever. And it was very unnatural. I wasn't used to punching that way. So I had to continuously train until that punch became natural to me and a natural part of my repertoire of moves, shall we say. So that's the application in terms of martial arts. You feel unnatural, you need to do it until it feels completely natural. And it's the same thing in life, no matter what kind of habits we're trying to build, because let's face it, that's what we're trying to do, is to build good habits, really. You know, whether you want to start a workout regimen or whatever, yes, there are periods where all of us will kind of fall off a little bit. You don't hit the gym as much as you want, you're not eating the way that you'd like to eat. Maybe if it's a different discipline, you're not practicing your music the way you'd like to, you're not drawing as often as you'd like to, whatever it is. But essentially the idea is to be consistent. So you want to build a habit, not just have, oh, this is my routine that's limited and eventually I'm going to get sick of and quit. So you have to train until it becomes natural, until it just becomes, this is what I do. I wake up and every morning I go for a run. And I do that every day. And at first it's unnatural. Like, oh my God, it's 5 a.m. I usually don't get up till 6:30. I gotta get dressed. I gotta go outside. It's cold. This is gonna suck. You go through all that and you have to fight through it. And initially that's a big part of it too, is having that tenacity to fight through that frustration, that initial kind of inertia, and build that momentum. So after a while, then it comes to the point where you do that every day. And then it's say you have to miss for whatever reason. You don't have time for your run. You have to go into work early. You will feel off. You will feel like, oh my God, I missed my run. This is gonna be a rough day, man. You get used to the burst of energy. You get used to those endorphins that went through your body. You feel better. You start your day off right. And like I said, it's with anything. It doesn't even have to be a morning routine. But, you know, for me, as I've mentioned before, a big part of my morning routine is meditation. That is one thing that I do my very best not to miss. I do have a workout component, which I need to increase, and I keep telling myself that, and I'm working on it. I haven't missed. That has been my ideology, is even if I'm lazy or I have a couple of days where, oh man, I missed it, and you can easily be like, well, I missed those days, so we'll just forget about this week. I've at least stayed consistent to where I never miss a full week. So that's something. Sometimes damage control, shall we say, is my mindset, as opposed to just letting it all fall away and, you know, quitting. Slow motion is better than no motion. Reference to my last video. Check it out. But in terms of the meditation, I was originally meditating in the evening. It was a different form of meditation. And now I do the Wim Hof breathing, which technically isn't meditation per se, it's a breathing method, but I find it to be a meditative experience, as I've referenced in various other videos. But they say it's most beneficial to do in the morning, and actually Wim Hof has said himself to do it in the morning before breakfast, like don't eat anything, empty stomach, that sort of thing. So it's a 20-minute routine, which isn't really that much to dedicate, and I do it every morning. It's the first thing I do. Like I said, there have been, you know, certain times, certain obligations where I'm unable to do it, but getting back to the main point, when I don't, I very much notice it. I'm like, oh man. Or even if I've been in positions where I've had to do things. You know, when I went out to Minnesota with my brother, sister-in-law, and my niece for her surgery, I was very much on the go. I didn't have time to do it, And I wasn't thinking about it because I was more concerned with her well-being. But then when I got back and was able to start it back up again, even I missed it for maybe 3 or 4 days, so really it's not a crazy amount. But immediately I was like, oh man, there's a big difference when I don't do this. So now it's become so natural that I hate missing it. If I have to miss it, I'm very upset. I don't like it. Technically, again, I'm human and I like to communicate that in these videos because we so often, if anyone, or the people that do find this motivational, I should say, people we look to motivate us, we can easily make the mistake of like, well, they do this, it's so easy for them, like whatever. So in my opinion, it's very important to show your human side, to show that you're vulnerable, to show that you're not perfect. Like yesterday, for example, I had an eye exam, and I had to do it before work. I work afternoons, 12 p.m. to about 8 p.m. is my usual hours. And I had to get up a couple hours earlier than usual. Now, realistically, if I was perfect or whatever, I could have woke up 3 hours earlier, made sure that I got that meditation in. But I'm human, and I was like, well, we're going to miss it for one day, and we're going to deal with that. So, don't beat yourself up for not being perfect. Perfection is not a thing. So, anyway, training for the unnatural to become natural. That has become a natural part of my life. I've been doing this breathing method for the last 7 months. 7 months. And it's one of those things where another way or important aspects of any routine to keep it a normal routine is the fact that it has to be realistic. If you try and say, well, I'm going to dedicate 3 hours a day in the morning to working out, that's a lot of time to carve out. Not extremely realistic. However, if I dedicate, like in this case with that portion of my morning routine, 20 minutes, I know I can find 20 minutes. Pretty much anyone you are, any person you are, any things that you have as responsibilities, if you want something bad enough, you can find 20 minutes. And realistically, in my experience, no, everyone's lives are different, but I think that carving out an hour of some type of self-care, shall we say, whether it's meditation, whether it's physically working out, like I said, I'm doing both. I obviously have room for improvement, and it's not just those things, it's things like I enjoy watching inspirational content as well. And this last week, I've been doing a lot of that. That's self-care. Even something as mundane and just run-of-the-mill as coming home and watching shows that you like. I don't care if it's mindless. I don't care if it's not educational. If that helps you to unwind, if that helps you to decompress, that's still self-care. So when people be like, people want to say, oh, you're just watching shows all day? Is that what you're doing? I'd be like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Having a great time, bro. I feel a lot better. So don't let other people tell you what you should be doing. As I've said before, should can be a very destructive word. We all have shoulds. We all tell ourselves what we should be doing. Some have relevancy, some do not. But when other people say that, oh, you should do this, you should do that, in reality, should doesn't exist. You shouldn't do anything. It's what you need to do. Find the things you need to do for yourself. You need to do to feel well, to feel balanced, to feel fulfilled, to feel emotionally stable, to feel physically well. Do what you need to do. Everyone else's shoulds are completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Their opinions are immaterial. And believe me, I know that is much easier said than done. I spent the vast majority of my life worrying about what people thought of me. It took a long time to just be like, I don't care because I don't even really know you. So, forming habits that can become natural, easy parts of our day, or normal parts of our day. Like I said, building routines. It applies to learning skills. Like I said, in terms of martial arts, or even in terms of the example that comes to my mind is I work at a dog daycare right now, which I really enjoy. But it's simple things, and this is kind of an odd example, but we have to mop the floor. I mean, the dogs have to use the restroom, and we don't have them outside all day. And I'd never mopped at any great length, so I was using the mop like I looked like an idiot. But it felt very unnatural. And now I've developed my own little technique, and now it feels natural. It's very natural for me to just swipe in a certain way, and I don't have to go crazy or think about it. All of a sudden, these new skills, we become familiar with them, and they become a part of us. It's anything. It's when you're learning to type. Using all 5 of your fingers initially feels unnatural if you're used to hunting and pecking. And especially nowadays, I remember when I was a kid, and I would assume most younger kids do the same thing because they don't care. When I forced myself to learn this, it felt very unnatural, and I didn't like it, and it was frustrating. And the whole reason I started doing it, and I'm very happy he said it, I was in high school, and my brother saw me doing the 1-2 finger thing. And I was a musician. I played consistently when I was younger. And my brother was like, dude, you play bass all the time. You do a million things with your fingers, and you're going to tell me you can't use all 5 of your fingers on the keyboard? Use your hands. And it made me think, I was like, oh, he's right. And now, completely natural. If I tried to not use all my fingers, and I tried to go back to using 2 or 3 or whatever I was doing, it would totally feel unnatural. So you do things and you progress. You find better ways. That's one of the key things too, I think. Find better ways of doing things. They will feel unnatural at first. They will be difficult at first. It will take self-discipline to continue to do those things because they're hard. And some take longer to assimilate than others. Maybe you can learn to use all 5 fingers on the computer in a couple of days just because you're like, you know what, I've just been being lazy. And it comes naturally. On the other hand, maybe you take up piano. And to get to the point where it just feels natural to be flowing across the keys and making chords, could take a year, could take more. But eventually, if you stick with it and it's something you truly want and it truly fulfills you, eventually it's going to become very natural. And you're going to think of it like nothing. People will look at you and see you do things. And I think we've all had that experience. You see someone do something and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. But to them, it's what they do. Like there was a guy, this isn't my story, this is actually from a Louis C.K. stand-up, but I've seen it done. You see someone driving a semi-truck with a big trailer, and they'll back it into a dock or whatever, and it's like perfect. And they'll do it in like even if they do it in 2 or 3 tries. Like, I don't like backing up a car, but you see that and you're just like, oh my God. And he had said in the stand-up that he saw a guy do that, and he's like, dude, that was unbelievable. And the guy was just like, eh. And that's it. To him, that's nothing. He does it constantly. It's not impressive. It's so many things. But train until the unnatural becomes natural, whether it's forming a habit, learning a new skill. Obviously, these have to be things that you genuinely want and genuinely fulfill you. You are going to have experiences where you try to learn something, and whatever that thing is turns out to be like, I'm not getting a lot out of this. That's okay. Find something else. Move on. It's all about finding what works for you. As I've said in many videos again, it's not about finding the way. There is no way. There's only your way. Bruce Lee, again, I'll close it with a different quote. He said, man is constantly growing. And when he is bound by a set pattern or way of doing things, that's when he stops growing. So, find your way, train until the unnatural becomes natural. And until later, my friends, be well.